On the day I was supposed to marry the love of my life, I jumped into the sea. People screamed. Cameras froze. Her white dress stood out like a ghost against the chaos behind her. I didn't leave a note. I didn't look back. And I didn't expect to survive. They called it a suicide. But for me, it was an escape. An escape from a love that was never mine to begin with. You see, while everyone else saw a perfect couple me in a sharp black tux, her glowing in silk and lace eyes saw the truth. Her eyes. Her hesitation. The way she flinched when I touched her hand at the altar. She didn't love me. She never did. And I was the only fool who believed the fairy tale she whispered into my ears every night for the last 3 years. 3 years of devotion, loyalty, sacrifice. Only to realize, on our wedding day, that I was just the backup plan. I still remember the moment everything broke. 10 minutes before the ceremony, I saw her. Not alone. Not crying tears of joy. But locked in a desperate, tear-filled embrace with someone else, a man I recognized all too well. Her ex. The one who left her shattered, who vanished without a word only to return the day before our wedding like some twisted rom-com plot. But what shattered me wasn't the embrace. It was what she whispered to him. "I'm sorry. I have to marry him. He's safe, but it was always you." That was the moment I died long before my body ever hit the water. So I smiled through the ceremony. Held her hand at the altar. Kissed her like it meant something. And the moment they said, "You may now kiss the bride," took 3 steps back, turned and ran. Straight into the sea. Nobody saw it coming. Not even her. They searched for days. Divers. Drones. Dogs. But they never found a body. Because I made sure they wouldn't. And while she cried crocodile tears and mourned a man she never loved, I started a new life. Far away. Hidden. Free. Or so I thought. Because 2 years later, she found me. And this time she was the one begging me not to leave. But I wasn't the same man who walked into that sea. Not anymore. My name is Zayan. And for most of my life I believed in the kind of love that only existed in novels, loyal, consuming, patient. I was the type of man who remembered anniversaries no one else did. The kind who made breakfast just the way she liked it, even when she barely touched it. I loved it with the kind of quiet intensity most people only dream of. But dreams can become delusions when you love the wrong person. Her name was Alina. She walked into my life like a summer storm, unexpected, beautiful, a little chaotic. We met in college, but we weren't some cliché couple who fell for each other at first sight. In fact, for the first 2 years, she didn't even know I existed. She was always surrounded friends, admirers, noise. I was quiet, focused, watching from a distance, admiring the way she laughed at her own jokes, the way she tied her hair when she was annoyed. Then, during our final year, fate threw us together on a group project. And for the first time, she saw me. Really saw me. She called me mysterious. I called her reckless. We were complete opposites yet. Somehow, we worked. After graduation, I got a stable job, rented a small apartment, and slowly started building a life. She struggled a bit more. Switched jobs. Changed dreams. Said she felt like she was constantly trying to find herself. I didn't mind. I supported her. I thought that's what love was, being patient while the person you love finds their wings. 2 years in, she moved in with me. 3 years in, I proposed, and she said yes. But looking back now, I wonder, did she say yes to me, or to the version of life I represented? I gave her safety, stability, a future mapped out in neat lines. But Alina was a wild brushstroke across a canvas, unpredictable, untamed. Still, I convinced myself we were happy. We had movie nights, late-night drives, spontaneous picnics. She would dance in the kitchen barefoot while I cooked, and I'd memorize every second like it was something sacred. But there were signs. Times when she'd go quiet staring at her phone. Moments when her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Nights when she'd cry and say, "I don't know what's wrong with me. I should be happy." And I'd hold her tighter, thinking my love could fix whatever was broken inside her. I never suspected there was someone else. Not until the day before our wedding, when I overheard her whispering on the balcony, her voice soft and cracking. "It still hurts. Even after everything, it's always been you." I told myself it was just nerves. Maybe she was talking to a friend. Or her mother. But the truth always finds a way to rise just like dead bodies in shallow water. And mine rose the moment I saw her embrace him behind the church, 10 minutes before we were meant to say I do. Alina always said I was too calm, too composed, that I didn't scream or fight enough. Maybe that's why she never expected me to disappear. But I did. And I didn't do it out of hate. I did it because I loved her too much to become the man she'd one day resent for trapping her in a life she never wanted. I gave her an out. I gave myself an ending. But life, it doesn't end when you want it to. It just pauses. And when it resumes sometimes, everything you thought was true has already rewritten itself. Because now, 2 years later, I've returned. And this time, I'm not the one begging. It started with a message. A message that was never meant for me to see. 2 weeks before the wedding, Alina left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. It buzzed once. I wasn't the type to check her phone. I trusted her. Or maybe I needed to trust her because, if I didn't, the whole fantasy would collapse. But that night something told me to look. Just one look. The screen lit up. "Are you really going through with it?" From a contact name's no emoji, no last name. Just a single letter, like a secret hidden in plain sight. My chest tightened. I stared at the message, heart pounding. I wanted to put the phone down. I wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it. But my fingers moved before my brain did. I opened the chat, and that's when I saw them. Messages, hundreds of them. Not flirty, not explicit. Just intimate in a way that two people in love shouldn't be with anyone else. "Sometimes I dream we never broke up. You're still in my bones. I hate it. Don't marry him just because it's safe." And her replies? "I wish you didn't come back now. It's too late. He's good to me. He loves me. Please don't make this harder than it already is." I stood there frozen, phone in hand, staring at a version of Alina I didn't recognize. She knew. She knew what she was doing. And still she let me plan our wedding. Let me buy the rings. Let me write my vows. She let me fall even deeper. When she came out of the shower, towel around her hair, skin glowing, she smiled at me like nothing was wrong. My heart broke all over again. I didn't say a word. I placed her phone back exactly where it was. Pretend nothing happened. Pretended I was fine. But inside, I was already drowning. Insecurity gnawed at me day and night. I rehearsed my vows knowing her heart was somewhere else. I smiled through our pre-wedding shoot knowing the woman beside me still loved someone else. And yet, I stayed. Why? Because I needed her to choose. I needed to know, once and for all, if it was me she wanted, or the ghost of a man who had broken her heart and returned to haunt her at the worst possible moment. The day before our wedding, my answer came. We were at the church early, setting up final details. She stepped outside to take a call. Said it was her cousin. I followed her. Quietly. She didn't see me hiding behind the pillar. Didn't hear me breathing as I watched her run into his arms like I never existed. It was him. The man from the messages. Zishan. Her ex. The same one who ghosted her 3 years ago after promising her the world. And now he was back. Just in time to ruin what little we had left. She clung to him like someone trying to hold on to a memory slipping through her fingers. "I have to marry him," she whispered through tears. "He's good to me. He deserves better. But I can't stop loving you." Zishan cupped her face. "Then don't do it. Leave him. Come with me." That was the final blow. Not just because she loved him, but because she was choosing me out of pity. Out of guilt. Out of some warped sense of obligation. And I knew I couldn't live like that. I wouldn't. So I made a decision that changed everything. If she couldn't walk away from me, I would walk away from her. In the most unforgettable way possible. That night, I lay in bed next to her, pretending to sleep. Her back was to me. Her breathing is slow. Peaceful. Like she hadn't just confessed her undying love to another man hours before. I stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open, drowning in thoughts. I could confront her. I could ask her outright, do you love him more than you love me? But would she even tell the truth? And worse, was I ready to hear it? I turned to face her. Her hair spilled across the pillow. The same lips I once kissed with awe were now part of a lie I couldn't unsee. I reached out, almost touched her, and then stopped myself. What was I holding on to? A fantasy? A ghost of a love that never truly existed? The next morning, she acted like everything was normal. Coffee in hand, a small kiss on my cheek, a smile that should have melted me but didn't. Because now I could see it. The flicker in her eyes when her phone buzzed. The hesitation before saying I love you. The guilt she tried to bury beneath her kindness. She was good at pretending. Too good. And I was good at breaking silently. You okay? She asked over breakfast, buttering toast like she hadn't shattered my world the day before. I nodded. Just nervous about the wedding. She smiled. Me too. Liar. Every minute felt heavier than the last. My chest ached from the weight of my silence. But I didn't want to explode. I wanted to understand. Why was I not enough? What did he give her that I couldn't? I gave her everything. Every part of me. My time. My loyalty. My love. And she still looked past me. Like I was the safety net, not the dream. I found myself checking her phone again. Watching for signs. She started password protecting it. Locking herself in the bathroom to reply to messages. Deleting call logs. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was a slow death. A quiet, brutal unraveling. One night, I came home early. Her phone was on the kitchen counter again, unlocked. This time, the messages were brief but clear. Zishan. Say the word and I'll be there. Alina. Please don't tempt me. My fingers shook as I read them. I wanted to scream, confront her, demand the truth she wouldn't say out loud. But instead, I closed the messages and walked into the room like I hadn't just watched my heart bleed on a screen. She looked up, smiled. You're home early. I kissed her forehead, nodded. Yeah, I missed you, even as the lie burned on my tongue. Because deep down, I still wished maybe she'd change her mind. Maybe she'd choose me. I held onto that hope like a lifeline. I told myself this was just a phase. Maybe she was confused. Maybe love could still win. But each night, she drifted further away. Each smile grew more hollow. And I started questioning myself. Was I not good enough? Too quiet? Too predictable? Was being steady boring? Maybe love did need more than loyalty. Maybe it needed chaos, fire, history. Or maybe I was just a fool who mistook comfort for connection. There were nights I stood by the sea, staring into the dark waves, wondering what it would feel like to disappear, not die, just vanish. No confrontation, no drama, just silence. A clean break. Would she cry? Would she regret it? Would she finally realize what she lost? Or would she run back into his arms and call it fate? I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to punish her. I just wanted peace. And that's when the thought first whispered in my mind, don't confront her. Just leave. Not a breakup. Not a note. Something irreversible. Something unforgettable. Something that would make her feel the absence she once feared. A disappearance so deep she'd never know if I was alive or gone forever. That way, I'd never have to hear her say it out loud. That she loved someone else. That she never truly loved me. I could leave with my dignity intact, with whatever pieces of myself I had left. But before I made that decision, I needed one last thing. To look her in the eyes. And see, for myself, whether there was any part of her that still loved me. Even if it was just a flicker. Even if it was too late. The day before the wedding, I decided to disappear. Not forever, just for a few hours. I needed space. I needed to breathe without her perfume clouding my judgment, without the sound of her laughter reminding me of everything I was about to lose. So I drove aimlessly for hours, no destination in mind. Just empty roads, the hum of the engine, and the weight of my thoughts pressing down on me like a slow suffocation. By sunset, I found myself near the cliffs. The sea below roared like it knew my pain. I sat at the edge, legs dangling, wondering what it would be like to jump. Not to die, just to vanish for a little while. To let the cold water numb everything I could no longer control. Then my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. You deserve to know the truth before it's too late. No name. No signature. Just a location pin. I stared at it for a long time, fingers trembling. It was less than 15 minutes away. Every instinct told me to ignore it. That it was probably some mistake, or worse, a trap. But curiosity has a way of digging into you. And heartbreak? It makes you reckless. I followed the pin. It led me to an upscale villa on the outskirts of the city. Hidden, private, the kind of place where secrets like to hide. I parked a block away and walked. My footsteps were silent, my heart anything but. Through the tall glass windows I saw them, Alina and Zishan, in the middle of what looked like an engagement celebration. No one else was there. Just the two of them. Dressed up, lit candles, a cake that said, "Forever begins now." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. She was supposed to be marrying me tomorrow, but here she was, smiling at him like I had never existed. He placed a ring on her finger. She didn't stop him. In fact, she whispered something and kissed him like he was the only man she had ever loved. I staggered back from the window, heart pounding so hard I thought it would break through my chest. And then, behind me, a voice. Low, calm, almost apologetic. "You weren't supposed to find out like this." I turned around. It was Alina's cousin Sarah. The same cousin she had been calling these past few weeks whenever she needed a cover story. Only now I realized Sarah wasn't the shield. She was the accomplice. "She told you she needed time," Sarah said quietly. "But the truth is, she never planned to marry you. The wedding was just a cover. A way to pressure Zishan. To see if he'd step up before it was too late." My mouth went dry. "So, I was, what, a bargaining chip?" Sarah looked away. "You were safe. She knew you'd never hurt her. She was going to go through with it if Zishan didn't come back. But he did. I felt the world tilt beneath me. She had used me. Every moment. Every kiss. Every promise. It had all been a countdown. And the worst part? She didn't even have the decency to tell me herself. I was just supposed to walk into the wedding venue alone. Waiting. Hoping. Until the truth hit me in front of everyone. Until I became a joke in a black suit. I walked back to my car in a daze. Something inside me snapped. Not out of anger. Not even sadness. It was clear. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a war. And now, I had nothing to lose. The wedding venue was packed. Flowers, music, laughter, everyone was waiting for a fairy tale. They didn't know the groom had already died inside. I arrived in a black suit, just as planned. But this time, not to get married. I came to bury what was left of us. The hall buzzed with relatives and friends, the perfect illusion of a celebration. Cameras flashed, smiles everywhere. None of them knew the bride wouldn't show. But I did. Still, I waited. Not because I believed she'd come, but because I wanted her to see me standing there. Whole. Unshaking. Because this time, I wouldn't be the one begging. The pianist struck the intro notes. The guests rose. And there she was, Alina. Wearing white like innocence still belonged to her. But I saw instantly the flicker of fear in her eyes when she caught sight of me at the altar. She wasn't expecting me to show. And that's when I knew she hadn't just betrayed me. She thought I'd be too broken to even face her. The audacity. The priest asked us to join hands. I stepped forward, slowly. Took her hand. It was ice cold. Everyone watched with admiration, assuming we were nervous lovers on the brink of forever. They didn't hear what I whispered next. You already wore a ring last night. Should I put this one on your middle finger instead? Her face blanched. What? I leaned in closer, smiling. You should have picked a better hiding spot. That villa has floor-to-ceiling windows. She tried to pull her hand back, but I held it firmly. Zion, please finish the act, I said through clenched teeth. Or do you want everyone to know you were celebrating your engagement with another man 24 hours ago? Her lips parted, trembling. Let's not ruin your big day, I said, loud enough for the guests in front to hear. Smile, Alina. That's what you're good at. Her eyes darted around. She was sweating beneath the layers of silk and lace. And then came the vows. The priest turned to me. Zion, do you take Alina to be... I'm... sorry, I interrupted. My voice is calm. Clear. I can't. Gasps echoed through the room. I looked at Alina. This time, for real. I used to think heartbreak was loud, I said. But it's not. It's silence in a room full of people who have no idea how deeply you've been cut. She grabbed my wrist. Zion, wait. Let's talk, please. I yanked my hand away. You don't get to beg now, I whispered. You had months to tell me the truth. You used me as leverage, as backup. You loved him, but kept me like a safety net. You were ready to ruin my life just to test his loyalty. Her tears spilled. I was scared, no. You were selfish. I turned to the crowd. All eyes were on us now. Confusion. Shock. Whispers. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced, there won't be a wedding today. The bride has somewhere else she'd rather be. Someone gasped in the front row. A woman fainted in the back. I walked away slowly, each step heavier than the last. I heard her crying behind me, but I didn't turn around. She had made her choice. Now, I am making mine. And as I stepped outside into the sunlight, something lifted. The grief, the humiliation, the weight of loving someone who was never mine to begin with. And for the first time in months, I smiled, not because I was okay, but because I knew this pain wouldn't break me. It had forged me into something stronger, and this was just the beginning. They say time heals everything. That's a lie. Time doesn't heal you. It reveals who and what was real, and who never deserved a second of your loyalty. In the weeks that followed the ruined wedding, I vanished. I left the city, shut off my phone, and cut everyone off. Not out of bitterness. Out of survival. I needed silence. I needed to bleed without spectators. I traveled from coast to coast, stayed in tiny towns where no one knew my name, woke up to the sound of waves and fell asleep with the stars overhead. Somewhere in that space between nowhere and nothing, I started breathing again. The pain didn't leave. It just stopped controlling me. One night, as I sat on a cliff's edge, watching the tide rise, I got a message on a new number I'd barely given out. He was from Sarah. She's not okay. I stared at the text. Then I deleted it. I didn't need updates on the woman who shattered me like glass and expected me to pick up the pieces. But fate's cruel. 2 weeks later, I ran into Zishan. Of all places, at a beachfront cafe. He looked thinner, darker under the eyes, like someone who hadn't slept in days. He saw me. He walked over. I didn't flinch. Didn't speak. He sat across from me anyway. She left, he said. I didn't reply. She thought she'd be happy, he added. But she's not. Not with me, not without you. I chuckled, more bitter than amused. She wanted you, Zishan. She chose you. He looked down. Yeah, but only after testing how much pain you could carry. That's not love, Zion. That's manipulation. I know. She's not the villain. She's just broken. I nodded slowly. Aren't we all? He sighed. She still talks about you. Says she didn't expect you to walk away. She expected me to stay no matter what. He nodded. You always did? I looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time, I didn't feel hatred. Just pity. You know, I said softly. I'm not angry anymore. I was, for a long time. But now, I just hope she learns to stop turning people into lifeboats while she decides where to sail. He nodded once more. Then I left. And just like that, I knew the chapter was done. A few months later, I moved back. Not to see her, not to reopen wounds, but to start over. With myself. I opened a small coffee shop by the water. Called it the Lighthouse. People came in broken, tired, searching for something warm. I gave him peace in a cup and silence that didn't judge. One day, a young woman walked in. She had sad eyes and shaky hands. I heard this place has a soul, she said. It's borrowed, I smiled. I'm just holding on to it until people need it more. She laughed, and for the first time in a long time, something stirred in me. Not love. Not yet. But hope. And sometimes, that's enough. Because heartbreak doesn't end you. It refines you. And if you're lucky, it leads you back to yourself. A month later, a letter arrived. No name. No return address. Just one line. Back on the wedding day, I watched you walk away and realized too late you were the only one who ever stayed. I folded the letter gently. Slid it into a drawer I no longer opened. I didn't need it. Because the past is a place we visit, not a place we live. And some people, they're meant to break us open, so we can finally see who we are without them.